Hello and welcome to another episode of Momento Malum today. The onion is one of the most widely grown, economically important vegetables. The likely progenitor of the onion is Allium vavilovi, which grows wild in Turkmenistan and Iran. It is from this region that onions were introduced into the Mediterranean region. Onion cultivation would subsequently spread throughout Europe and from there the rest of the world. During its worldwide dispersal, the onion was selected for response to different daylight requirements, specifically for bulbing and flowering, and became a biannual vegetable. Dr. Michael Havey would analyze 14 open pollinated lines and several specimens of wild onion. These onion lines were analyzed through SNP genetic marker technology, and here are the results. The analysis used 5 randomly selected plants from each of the 14 open pollinated lines, and 2 plants from Allium vavilovi. The overall heterozygosity average across the 14 open pollinated populations was relatively low at 23.5%. This lies in contrast to the other studies which estimate the genetic diversity to be around 70%. There are 2 possible explanations, one being that the study used a low sample size, and another being that the lines were derived from a small population to begin with. The commercially grown cultivars, Senshu Ki Early and Red Pinoy, has similar level of estimated heterozygosity to the open pollinated lines, as did the wild species. This may indicate that the wild population selections may have been derived from isolated populations, or that genetic bottlenecks happened throughout their history, or could just be a low sample size. And all of the above possibilities are in the realm of possibility. If you want to donate to my channel, the links are below. If you want to buy my book, you can also find that link in the description box below. The onion populations were selected as representatives of the most productive or historic founder populations, utilized in the breeding of new varieties. The relationships between the new modern cultivars and the ancient varieties was estimated using the statistical tool known as Ney-72 coefficient and the statistical tool UPGMA. Using these methods, a model for the origins of modern cultivars was created. The lines Barbosa and Valencia are yellow onion cultivars from Spain. Barbosa is a short-day onion producing yellow bulbs of relatively low pungency, and Valencia produces yellow bulbs with relatively good storability. In 1925, a subset population of this group led to the creation of another open pollinated cultivar named Valencia Grano 9452, which was introduced to the United States. It became the base for another cultivar called Early Grano. Another cultivar called Texas Early Grano was traced back to Barbosa. And indeed, Texas Early Grano was reported to be an early maturing selection from either Early Grano or Barbosa. It turns out it's Barbosa. Indeed, the genetic features and physical features that are similar to Barbosa indicate that, yes, this cultivar is a Barbosa derivative. The cultivars, Sweet Spanish Valencia from the United States and the Spanish cultivar Valcatorce, were likewise also found to be derived from Valencia. The former was likely bred between the 19th and 20th century. The open pollinated line Yellow Bermuda was introduced from Italy to Texas via the Canary Islands in 1898, and was the source of the male sterility trait for the Granix hybrids through a random mutated individual that was found in the population. This open pollinated line has relatively low pungency and flat bulbs, which are phenotypically different from the Barbosa and Valenciana populations, but are still of likely Spanish origin. The same applies to red Creole and white Creole, which are short-day onions that are likely introduced into the southern United States from Italy. Red Creole and white Creole are closely related, and white Creole was likely bred from red Creole lines with the recessive white bulb allele. Red Pinoy is a pungent short-day onion grown in the Philippines, and based on the genetic evidence, it shares a common ancestor with red Creole and white Creole. The long-day onion known as Southport yellow globe is a well-storing onion, introduced from northern parts of Europe, and was introduced to the northern United States in times gone by. The cultivation of this type of onion spread across the United States and southern Canada, and the early Senshu Ki from Japan, the Pukuhohe longkeeper from New Zealand, and Wolska line from Poland were of this lineage as well. Within the United States itself, most of the cultivars of onion, both old and modern, are wholly derived from the cultivars Babosa, Valencia, Yellow Bermuda, Red Creole, and Southport Yellow Globe. Lastly, we'll talk about Nasik Red, a pungent short-day onion grown in India. It's thought to be genetically distinct from both the European lines and the American lines. This open-pollinated cultivar had the second highest genetic diversity, followed only by wild onions. This indicates that Indian onions may trace back to an independent path of introduction from Central Asia. Dr. Havey concluded by suggesting that analysis of the onion lines of South Asia relative to those of European origin and American origin should be undertaken. And that about covers everything. Thank you for watching.